Is there going to be a new Batman game? Okay, let's get into this Q&A as soon as possible because we definitely have some things that need to be cleared up. Ahmad, I think that this will answer your question, hopefully. I am so very excited to bring this first ever episode of the Batman Telltale Q&A series, which is what we'll be calling it until we get what the game is actually called. And this episode is brought to you by Loot Crate. For less than $20 a month, you can get this month's March Loot Crate, which is versus Batman versus Superman, Daredevil versus Punisher, again for less than $20 if you use the discount code Slkmof. Link is in the description. So guys, yes, this is my first ever episode of my Q&A series revolving around the new Batman game coming out by Telltale Games in the year 2016. This is going to be a recurring series, and I'm going to have 2 episodes a month until we start getting more concrete information, and then at which point we'll go into a weekly kind of setup until the game actually comes out, and then after the game comes out, we'll continue to do a ton of discussion videos, Q&As, and the whole thing. And if you want to be featured in next week's video, all you have to do is leave a comment or question in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to feature your question in the video. I got a lot of great questions in my last video, and I'm going to go over 7 of them here, and I did choose a little bit more of the more rudimentary, I suppose you could say, or basic questions that ask about the Telltale formula for this particular episode. In the next one, we're going to get more into the theoretical stuff. And actually, first starting off, we do have a theoretical question, and it's from Doug. And Doug asks if we may be able to drive the Batwing in this new Telltale game. Now, to me, this is an interesting question because we've seen in the past that we have gotten control and had the option to actually maneuver certain vehicles, you know, in The Wolf Among Us Season 5, or not Season 5, or sorry, Episode 5, and also in Tales from the Borderlands Episode 1, and actually beyond, we've gotten a whole spew of opportunities to control vehicles, so I would absolutely not rule out the Batwing, but I would think is more likely is actually the Batmobile than the Batwing, although I'm definitely not ruling out the Batwing, but I think you can almost guarantee that we're going to get to go for a spin in the Batmobile. So, Billy Bob's question is whether or not I would like to see this game feature a comic storyline and stick closer to that, or if it should be an entire new thing. And to me, this is actually an interesting topic because it brings up my last video where I pitched a Batman solo movie, and I saw in the comments, I encourage you all to pitch your own movie, and a lot of the comments were actually basically like Under the Red Hood in live action, okay? And that's fine, I respect that, but to me, I really want to see a new story, and I want to see what Telltale can do because they are masterful storytellers, obviously, and I want to see their take on the character. I don't want to just see another comic storyline where I know exactly every beat of the story, how this plays out. Oh, there's the twist, Long Halloween at the end. You know, so I really want them to do their own thing, and that's what they're going to do. They're not going to just copy and paste the Long Halloween into their own story. Will there be innuendos and maybe loose followings of comic storylines? Absolutely. I would count on that to be, if nothing else, a loose kind of innuendo or reincarnation of a previous Batman tale, but ultimately this is going to be their own story. It's going to be their new story, and I really look forward to playing it. So that's my answer to that. So Miles's question is about whether or not we're going to get to see a personal story of Bruce Wayne, and I think absolutely we're going to see that, and I would love to see that. Not only that, one of the things that I would say would be really cool to see is flashbacks from Bruce Wayne's childhood, and we actually play as Bruce Wayne. For example, you know, like Bruce Wayne being in school, getting bullied. He went to prep school in most of the Batman storylines, and, you know, him getting bullied by other kids and just being like the sad, miserable kind of kid, not having a good time as a kid while everybody else is having a good time. If not a scene directly like that, I know that's a very particular, you know, kind of thing, but I think that this game is going to explore the inner psyche of Bruce Wayne. So to answer your question, absolutely we're going to see him cope with his pain because ultimately Batman, he is a character that is overrun by misery and I guess just wrongdoings of his entire life has shaped him into the person that he is today. So he's not had the best of life, of course, as we all are aware. And they're going to explore that in the game, no doubt about it. So this next question is from PC Lego, so great support of the channel. I had to include it because it's such a simple question with a simple answer, and that is, will there be skins in the new Batman Telltale game? And the answer to that is absolutely a possibility. I'm not saying one way or the other, but they have successfully implemented a great system where you can change your visual appearances and skins and just that kind of thing. It's nothing that actually impacts the game, but it is aesthetic, and that is skins and Tales from the Borderlands. And they could absolutely do a system in which you could change your actual batsuit. So I would not put it past them. That's absolutely a possibility, but I'm not saying that will be the case. I'm saying they've done a similar system in the past, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did one in this game, and it would be a very welcomed addition to the game. So thank you to Steven for asking this question. He asked, do you think that this game will be similar to your Batman solo movie pitch in that it is a Bat family drama and maybe the villains won't be center stage or take the forefront? to me, this is very interesting because I compared The Walking Dead Season 1 and 2. Phenomenal games. And in both of these games, the antagonists are never the forefront of the actual game itself. The only real game in which I would say that the villain is front and center of that actual episode is The Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 3. Besides that, really the antagonists are not the focal point of the game itself. It's really about the relationship with the characters. And there's also totally opposite, in where The Wolf Among Us, there is an antagonist that is basically the entire focal point of the game. At the beginning, you're introduced to this mystery antagonist, not sure who it is, and then at the end of episode 5, that conflict is resolved. So there's two total different directions they could go with it. They could go all in and really focus on the antagonist, hunker down on that, or focus a little bit more on kind of like a comic book type thing. Because, really in comics, antagonists come in and out, and antagonists usually aren't in a comic book for more than 6 issues. It just kind of floats in and out in that sense. They could do that. They could have an antagonist for 1 or 2 episodes, and then after that, they bring in a new one. Or they could have one antagonist throughout the entire series, and really the entire game is about stopping that antagonist, and we just don't know yet. But what I'm saying is I wanted to propose this question as saying Telltale's done it both ways. They've really emphasized one villain, or they've just kind of had multiple come in and out and not emphasize the villain as much and focus more on the conflict with the characters, with the protagonist. So just want to keep that in mind. It could go either way. And we did get a question that is actually unrelated to Batman Telltale, but I figured that I would address it because it is something that interests me highly. And that is, what games could Telltale possibly make after this Batman game? It's probably going to make a lot of money, as he says, and what other games would you like to see them produce? It could be from DC or Marvel, and he says that he would like to see a Spawn game. So, Cool Cat, thank you very much for your question, and I just thought I'd address this. For those of you unaware, Telltale has confirmed they will be making a Marvel game in 2017. My personal speculation on what that game is it's going to be a Spider-Man game. That's just my personal thought. I'm pretty confident in that, but I very well could be wrong. But that's my speculation, is a Spider-Man game. It makes the most sense in the fact that he's going to be introduced in the MCU in 2016. He's a pretty popular character. He could help Telltale reach out, reach their brand out, since they don't have a massive advertising budget or anything like that. So that's kind of how they reach out to new audiences. For me, I was a big fan of The Walking Dead. They made a Walking Dead game. I got that, and now I've played every single game they've made, pretty much. So that's kind of how they work, and I would expect that they are going to be doing a Spider-Man game in 2017, at which point I'm really looking forward to that if that's the case. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and please feel free to leave any and all constructive criticism in the comment section below. I'll be reading all of the comments, and I'll also be looking out for great questions that I can talk about in my next episode of Batman Telltale Q&A Episode 2. Be sure to look forward to that in 2 weeks. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Like it if you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one.